Welcome to our weekly Forex Forecast, and this is for a trading for the week of April 15th to the 19th of 2019. So before we dive in, though, just a quick disclaimer here. This is for educational purposes only. Trading is a risky business, so please be careful with your money. All right, so as usual, we'll start off by taking a look at our weekly calendar here. So the big thing from last week was that we saw that UK got extension from EU till October of this year. So that has really lifted everything up. And as a result, we saw pound go up as well as everything else go up. So US dollar kind of took a hit there. So coming up this week here, we have on Monday, we have Bank of Canada business outlook here. A bunch of FOMC members speaking, but very important here, for Australian dollar here, monetary policy meeting minutes. So these days, with all the central banks kind of backpedaling here, these meeting minutes or the monetary policy stuff becomes very important. So we need to keep an eye on it. Last time, Reserve Bank of Australia wasn't that bullish. So as a result, we had seen Australian dollar fall. So if they continue on with the same type of commentary in terms of business outlook not being too strong and them being concerned about what else is going on in the world economy, that could have a negative impact on Australian dollar here. And on Tuesday here, we have employment data out of UK. In this case, this average earnings index number is very important. So the claimant count and unemployment numbers are important as well, but all three numbers need to be positive. And if they are, British pound is likely to go up. So just keep that in mind. And we also have CPI, which is inflation number from New Zealand on Tuesday here, as well as GDP numbers out of China. So even though you may not trade the Chinese yuan, the important thing to remember here is that the Chinese data will have an impact on Australian dollar and New Zealand dollar because they are such close trade partners with China. So when the numbers come out positive, it has a positive impact on both Australian dollar and New Zealand dollar. So those are the two currencies we would pay attention to. On Wednesday here, CPI numbers out of UK, which is again our inflation numbers here. So inflation these numbers have normally been positive for UK, and as a result of that, we see British pound go up. So just keep that in mind. If the data is positive, it will have a positive impact on British pound because inflation is one of the numbers that the central banks track. So this is an important number. And then we have the OPEC meetings here this week. They did not happen last week. So we have OPEC meetings this week. It will have an impact on oil, on price of oil, and it will be the comments that come out of these meetings. So usually when these meetings happen, there are a lot of journalists there asking for the opinions of the various participants in these meetings, and they also want to know what's going on, right? So as a result of that, we see these comments come out on the news feed. So we'll have to pay attention to that because it will be important and can move the price of oil, which in turn will have an impact on Canadian dollar. So that's what we have there. And then we also have CPI inflation numbers out of Canada, as well as trade balance numbers. So last time the number was quite negative here. And as a result, we saw Canadian dollar drop. So dollar CAD had gone up. And if the number is worse than expected here, it could have a negative impact on Canadian dollar here. And then we have Bank of England, Governor Carney speaking. Anytime there's a central banker speaking, it can move the market based on the comments that come out of this meeting. So keep an eye on that. And we have Australian employment numbers. Again, these will have an impact on Australian dollar. On Thursday here, a lot of PMI numbers. PMI numbers are important because they are precursors to retail numbers and GDP numbers. So these are important numbers to pay attention to. If they come out positive, again, it would be positive for euro. But if they come out negative, it could have a negative impact there. And then we have retail sales numbers out of British pound as well as Canada here as well. And of course, we have ADP non-farm employment numbers for Canada here, as well as retail sales numbers for the US. So busy day in terms of data here. And then we have bank holidays here. So going into our Easter. So as a result of that, we'll have light trading if there is, there's some, well, a lot of the places it is a bank holiday. So liquidity will dry up going into Wednesday, and then Thursday is an important data day. All right, so that's what we have for our data. Now let's move into our charts here. So starting off with our Euro US dollar as usual. So Euro US dollar we had talked about how it had an indecision candle last week. Greg's question is there a course somewhere to learn about this market? I do have a course. I can get you a link. I have a course on fundamentals, demystifying fundamentals. So it covers the things that I just spoke about. But reach out to me and I can send you a link if you don't find it on the website. But yes, the answer to your question is yes. Okay, so here last week we had an indecision candle here and we were right into our support. This week we have a bullish candle here giving us a morning star trade setup here. So as a result of that, this is looking bullish. So I will look for a further move to the upside in our euro. Now, do keep in mind there was some sentiment-driven moves in euro as a result of the extension. So that could have we could see some of the reversal of the sentiment moves, but overall, from technical perspective, this is looking bullish. And as a result, I will look for price to go up higher. So in this case, bias is bullish and we could see price go up into the high of the range. So watch out for that. 1.1450 will be the target. And then we could come into resistance right there. So from there, it could drop. But for now, bias for euro dollar is bullish. For our pound here, pound has been back and forth here, but it did go up. So here we were into support, price did go up a bit here, but we have a very small candle. So this is not really, it has a little bit of a pin. This one could go either way. We are still into support. So for price to continue lower, we need to see a break of the support. And then I will look for a pullback for a further continuation to the downside. But it could also just go up to test the high here and then come back down. So this one we have to be a little bit more careful about because there is a bullishness in this candle, but there's also a pin on top. So it's more neutral than any sort of trending at this point. So I would keep an eye on it. But as we can see, price has been making a lower high, which means it could drop. But again, it could go test the high here as well before it drops. But if it does go higher, I would look for a reaction at a 1.3200 for a potential drop. And if it goes towards the bottom, I would look for a pullback before a continuation move to the downside. But overall, a bias is bearish here, more bearish because of these lower highs that are being made. Again, though, very important thing to remember here is all this important support. If it does not break the support, chances are it's going to go higher. So just keep that in mind. Aussie dollar here. Aussie had a strong week last week. There was a large pin to the downside here. Now we have a big, strong bullish candle close. So bias is bullish here. But do keep in mind, it's into this resistance where price had reacted previously. So for now, bias is bullish, and I will look for a move higher here. So in this case, the type of move that we could potentially see would be a pullback and then looking for a move to the upside here. So bias is bullish for Aussie dollar, target is 0.7300. So bias is bullish. New Zealand dollar here, this one, we had a drop last week. It hasn't been able to break the low just yet, and we have seen a pullback from there. So this one looks more like a pullback, but it could go deeper. So do keep that in mind. But overall bias here is still bearish. But if you take a look at this, this one has been trading in a range and has not broken out of that range just yet. So this is the range that it's been trading in for last several weeks here, starting January of this year. Actually, it's been trading in this range. So now it's towards the bottom of this range here. And in this case, we have a couple of different options. One, we are seeing this push towards the low, but because we do have a bullish candle here, we could see this go up further towards the middle of the range or even towards the high of the range. So depending on what kind of market conditions we see here, this could go back into the range. So in order for it to continue lower, we again have to see the break before it continues lower. So right now, because it's range bound, I would look for a further move higher here, potentially into. So first target would be 68.50, and if it goes through that, then we're looking at 69.40 level. So for now, it is a bullish bias within the range, so looking for a move higher. Now, if it does break the low of the range, then this one could go lower, and in that case the target would be 0.6600. So overall this is range bound, and the first scenario that I'm watching out for is a move back into the middle of the range here. CAD, dollar CAD here, dollar CAD is also a little range bound here. It's been trading in this range here for last several weeks, 6 weeks here. And this week we do have a bearish candle, but we have not seen a break just yet. So we do need to watch out for breaks. So we have to wait slightly, but bias is bearish, and I'm looking for price to drop here. So that's what I'm looking for. So bearish bias for dollar CAD, 1.3120 will be the target. Now, should we hear some negative comments from OPEC meetings that could have a negative impact on oil and hence dollar CAD. But for now, this looks bearish and looking for it to drop into 1.3120. Euro pound here, this is looking bullish. Price has been pushing higher, but as we can see, we are into the support resistance level here. So the bias right now is bullish. We do have a bullish candle close. But again, for it to continue higher, I would look for a break above the high and then a continuation higher. So something like this. So 0.8800 will be the target. But again, we have to see price go through this 0.8650 level before we can actually go long on this. Mitch, yes, I will be sending the Excel summary with this. So Excel summary is basically the snapshot of it's a watch list for the different pairs that we are looking at. And if you're watching this later, you can just click on, there's a link, which if you subscribe to the link, then you will get on my mailing list for the Excel spreadsheet here, and you will get all the targets and the market direction that we are talking about here. Or if you're already on my list, I will send it to you automatically. You will get that in your email. So just make sure to check your email. Sometimes they can land in your promotions or spam filter. So just make sure that you do allow it so that you can get it. But yes, you will get a summary, Excel summary watch list here. Euro Swiss franc here. This is bullish, big bullish candle close here. So bias is to the upside. And first target here is 1.1390 and then 1.1450. So bullish bias for Euro Swiss franc. Looking quite bullish here actually. So bias is bullish. Pound Swiss franc here. This one's looking bullish here as well. But it is in a bit of a range here for the last 3 weeks. The bias is bullish. First target is 1.3200. And if it gets through that, then we are looking at 1.3340 level. So bullish bias here as well. Dollar Swiss franc, this one is also looking bullish. First target 1.0050, and then all the way up into 1.0125. So bullish bias for dollar Swiss franc. Pound yen, this one has, this one's looking bullish as well. But again, like I said, it hasn't moved out of the range that it's been trading in for some time now. But it is bullish. So as we can see, the last three candles here, they've been in this little range, but looking bullish. But for it to continue higher, we have to see a break of 147. And we need price to hold above that level. And once it does, 148.94. So about 149 will be the target for pound yen. Euro yen here, this is looking quite bullish here. Next target is 127.50. So bias is bullish right now for euro yen. And in terms of the pullback, before it continues further, I think we could look at 126. So bullish bias for euro yen. Dollar yen here, this one is also looking bullish. We have a bullish pin bar, but do realize that we are into this resistance level where price turned from, and we did have a good strong candle prior to it turning. So this is an important support resistance level. So what I'm saying is, if it does not go through this, it could turn around and come back into this, this range. As we can see for last several weeks here, price has been stuck in this range. So if it doesn't break the 112 level, then chances are it will come down because of the range bound move. But if it does break it, then 113.80 will be the target to the upside here for dollar yen. Aussie yen, this one is looking quite bullish. It moved out of this range that it was trading in. So bias is bullish. Next target is 81.50 level here, which is the top of this candle here. So bias is bullish. First target 81.50. Second target 82.20. So bullish bias. New Zealand yen here. This one is also looking bullish. I will look for price to go higher here. 76.60 level will be the target. So bullish bias for New Zealand yen as well. CAD yen here. This one has moved up a fair bit as well. So this is looking bullish. We are kind of coming into this support resistance level right here. So watch out for that, which is 84.30, where bias is bullish, and next target would be 85.20. So bullish bias for CAD yen as well. All right, so let's move into our commodities here. Yeah, I tend to look for retracements on all the big moves that happen. So usually there's a retracement before a continuation. So yeah, just watch out for retracements. Okay, gold here. Gold is looking bearish here. We have a bearish pin bar. So I will look for a move lower. 1280 will be the first target. And then we're looking at 1266 as the second target. But again, do pay attention to the support that we have here. As we can see, price did not break the support here, here, or here. That means that is a very important support resistance area. But see how here as well, price was kind of stuck for a while, and then it broke through and dropped quite a bit. So we could see that happen. So here, bias is bearish. First target is 1280. But only if it breaks through like this, I will look for a pullback and a further drop if that happens. So bias is bearish for now. First target 1280, next target is 1266 or 1258. So bearish bias for gold. Oil here, oil's just been going sideways in this week. If we take a look at the daily here, we can see it's just been going sideways. And at this point, we don't know which direction it's going to go in. The OPEC meetings will have an impact on oil. They generally do. So keep an eye on this. So based on this weekly move, it does not look very bullish. It actually looks bearish at this point. So I would say that this one could drop just based on the technicals. But depending on what comes out of the meetings, it can go in the opposite direction as well. So for now, bias is bearish, but if it does not break 63 level, it could just go back into the range. If it breaks 63 level, then it can go to 60.50. But otherwise, it could just do one of these, go back into the range. So for now, it is looking range bound. Copper here, copper, as we can see, has been range bound here as well. We do have a bullish candle close, so 2.97 will be the first target. So we could see price go up from there. So bullish bias here for copper into 2.97, and then because it's range bound, as we can see, for several weeks here, price has been stuck there. So I would look for price to come back into the range after it's hit the high. So for now, bullish bias, but then looking for a move back into the middle of the range. Okay, so the next one we'll take a look at will be our silver, Bitcoin, and we'll finish off with equities. So silver here was interesting, had a big drop and pulled back here to do a test, and then it has dropped since then. So for now here, bias is looking bearish. So if we take a look at the weekly, we can see this is looking bearish. Next target will be to the downside. 14.65 will be the target. So bearish bias for our silver. Bitcoin here, this is again not really updated in real time right now because my broker is closed. So you can go take a look at the real-time chart. But based on this Friday's chart here, this is looking bearish and it could drop, but do take a look at the actual chart right now. Mine will get updated when the market opens later today. But based on this though, this looks like it's trading in a range. It's been stuck in this range for a bit. And now I will look for a price to move towards the bottom at 47.80. All right, so now, you know what? I have not been keeping keeping an eye on Bitcoin news. So I would not be able to say, but it was pushing into this level for a while before it took off. But for now here, I will look for it to come back into this 47.80 level. S&P 500 looking quite bullish here. This is a daily chart. So if we turn to the weekly chart, as we can see, this is a bullish pin bar here. So bias is bullish. And we are right into the highs here. So 29.43, the target. So bullish bias for S&P 500. And let's take a look at NASDAQ here as well. This one is very close into the highs here. So very, very strong. And the bias here is bullish. So 76.96 will be the target. But watch out for this because looking extremely bullish here. Nikkei here, this one is looking bullish here as well. So bias is bullish and next target would be 22721. So bullish for Japanese yen as well. Let's take a look at DAX here. DAX has been trading in a range for over a week now. Now it is holding above, which means it could do a flag formation higher. So it could go higher. So bullish here. 1.173 will be the target, so bullish bias for DAX. Last one here is FTSE. FTSE has been going sideways, but it is still bullish, and we are getting close into our support resistance level here. So 75.62 is the target for FTSE. All right, so that's all I have. Any questions or comments before we call it a wrap? Okay, so no questions. So you guys have a wonderful Sunday. Enjoy the rest of your day. And I'll be back again next week. Now, if you do want this analysis in a spreadsheet form that you can download and keep by your computer, you can certainly do that. When I post this video, if you're on my mailing list, you will get it automatically. I will send you the video as well as the spreadsheet that will just have the market direction and the targets. Or if you are not on my mailing list, you can just, when I post the video on YouTube, there will be a little button to join that list. So when somebody's on the list, I just automatically send it. So then you have to subscribe once and then you'll be able to receive that. All right, so awesome. So we'll call it a wrap. You guys have a wonderful weekend, like I said, and I'll be back next time. Bye for now.